As soon as this week goes up, we'll be good.
Call back to order.
I got it.
Really came on quickly.
Yeah, these that's.
We are back.
Okay.
Thank you for giving us a 5-minute break. We're up to items of business and actually we're missing, I hate to drag this out, but the mayor's update.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
Sorry, but yeah, it's very short. I actually performed my 5th wedding for a young couple here in Borough Hall, the drinkers, and Anthony was one of the witnesses. I attended the Summerslam County ELC meeting, which is their legislative group that meets once a month. And the presenters were Senator Brownick and Assemblywoman Munoz and Matsukudas, who are from Legislative District 21 that we will be joining soon. So it was great to hear from them and what their plans are. I attended Family Day at the pool, and kudos to Leah Horowitz again and Bob Markowitz. I never saw so many people at the pool having such a good time. They had games and all kinds of things going on, so it was really well planned. I attended, actually spoke at Community in Crisis for the opioid awareness of Overdose Awareness Day, which is why you see the purple ribbons around town. That is for opioid overdose awareness. Tom and I met with Ashley Barama, who is still working on his Windbush project, so we're hoping to get that going. I also spoke at the Sunday at the 9/11 service of Remembrance at the library. There were only a handful of residents there, which was disappointing. But it was really well done. We have an interim director there, and she did a really nice job putting the program together. And they always read the biographies of the 2 victims from Bernardsville, Alice Horseman Jones and Thomas Riney. And there are plaques outside the library for those 2 people. Wednesday, just a reminder, is Somerset County governing officials meeting at the Stony Brook Grill, and that is a nonpartisan, any elected officials. And actually, the topic will be getting your message out through social media. So I thought that was useful. I will be going. I don't know if anybody else wants to go, but Anthony can sign you up for that. Sunday, I think it's 8 to 11. It's 5K, and the Mayor's Wellness Committee is sponsoring, along with Recreation, a health and wellness fair at the high school. So even if you're not participating in the 5K, please go, because we have a lot of our local businesses having tables and demonstrate, showing their products. And I think they have over 100 people signed up for the 5K already. So it's going to be a really great event. And that's my report. Tom, I don't know if you had anything.
I'm going to spare you guys all that, except to point out and say thank you to Verizon for working on the utility lines. And they replaced some of the poles and fixed some of the down wires.
Yeah, Tom, in your report, is there any progress on the RFP for the lines at the playground?
Oh, the utility lines?
Yeah, for the new
Oh,
pavilion.
right, yeah.
So the utility, they did.
And you didn't prime to ask you the question, you answer.
No, thank you for asking. We surveyed the land where the utilities have to go, and we're expecting the proposal next week.
Cool.
And we are getting ready also to go out to RFP for an architect. And we have not issued we're not doing an RFP. We don't have to give them the cost of it. Doug has a couple. He's going to just ask for proposals, and we'll bring those to you.
You're talking about the stick.
This stick.
Yeah.
Kitchen.
Great.
Yeah, good.
Great.
Deer management.
I have a question.
Oh, on what?
How this affects the trails, and I'm sure you have the
We
answers
do
for
this
all this.
every year.
No, I know, but does it get posted at the entrance to the trails? Because we're gonna start advertising the trails now. I'm just concerned that we're not gonna advertise them, put them on the website. And for a month and a half, I want to be shot by an arrow.
They're there for certain hours, right? Isn't it during the week? It's like early in the morning.
Can we make sure that whatever days and
It should be
hours
posted.
it's posted on the website and it's posted at each trail?
Yeah, it should be.
do we want to remove anything? Because
Sometimes we
last
post it
year we
more, yeah.
removed Little Over, I'm sorry, we removed,
Oral.
it's on the email.
Three of our,
Four,
three of our things and little section, pretty much everything. Every trail.
No, and I know we felt that the Laurelwood, it's too close to the homes. And I
So
think we
that's
took that
still-
one off.
it is.
Yeah, that, so
still-
that one's the only one that's off, but every other one of our
Still.
trails is on here. So, I mean, it's no point taking one off, they're all here.
No, I mean, it wasn't because there were the hikers. It was
Yeah,
just
no,
because
it
it
was
was
close to,
yeah, to the small piece of property.
So when you say you're gonna advertise the trails, is 251 Claremont one of them?
all of these
So
are.
what is 251?
All
It's
of
on the
them are-
list of,
They'll all be on the website.
Yeah,
We're finishing up the files for them and then they're gonna be put on the
I
website.
mean, do we want to take Peter's Drive off?
It doesn't matter,
No.
they're all,
you can't.
the Mine Brook is gonna be there, Little Brook Sanctuary, the Audubon, they're all listed. Gonna be on the website in the bio. I just
We
wanna take it off
can
the list.
take it off the list with your minute. Your-
Take it off if you're there.
You can't take, I wouldn't take
No,
any of them.
I'm saying don't take them off, I just want you to make sure you're posting.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So at the trailhead, it should say during these hours, hunters will be here, so.
So just because I'm not familiar with this the process here, is that something we do, public works does? Or do we
Well,
require,
The police to do it, the safety, public safety does.
so but we do it, staff does it.
I have no idea.
I don't know that we've ever even done it before. That's
Okay.
why.
I think it's.
Post.
just that
I'm
one.
just trying to figure out. how
John's
that-
like,
John's- No, it's something like that.
The hunting club.
Yeah, the authorized club that comes to our properties post the signs.
Okay, but can somebody make sure that they post them at the entrances to every one of these trails? Because I don't know where they're gonna post them. I just wanna make sure to post at the entrance to the trails so that the people who are gonna use the trails can actually see them.
All right, I apologize, now I understand, we'll make sure that happens, and then we'll verify it.
Yeah, I just want somebody to check with the hunting club. And can we also have it posted on the website?
Yes.
Like in big letters flashing on the first page, that hunting is gonna be going on at this time, on these days, in all these places.
Thank
Okay, thank you very much.
And it's true that somebody was standing.
Yeah, I know, and Ed was, Mike Gunderson, who is on Shade Tree, said that he would take over, but he's never done it, so it would be good if somebody spoke to him.
Thanks for clarifying.
Thank you. All right, next is the small accessory mechanical setbacks, and that's the church that has the box out on
Yeah,
it.
because they're in a residential zone, so they're subject to that ordinance. Now Vince Pisano, who represents the church, has been waiting on that, I believe.
Oh, really?
Can you get a brief background on what they're asking for? In the meantime, we've held enforcement in the bay, so, there's been no summons issued against the church while this is resolved.
So, Vince is on Zoom.
I believe he's on.
Oh, I see Vince, hey, okay. Does he want to speak?
I think he does, just want to give brief remarks as to what
Okay.
the position is.
I'm Vince Bisagno. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I represent the Presbyterian Church located on 202. Pastor Kim is here also. The reason that we're here is because the zoning officer has indicated we're in violation of section 12-23.24B of your zoning ordinance because we installed a hot box. The purpose of the hot box was to protect our sprinkler system from freezing. The hot box is located in the front yard. The hot box is basically 3 foot high, 2 feet wide. It's about 20 feet from the road. It was 20 feet from the road because the New Jersey American Water Company said we had to locate it at that particular spot. Very briefly, some background information. We installed this hot box in December 2021. We found out we could not connect to the water line because it was on the other side of Route 202. And we had to get permission from the state and from the county and from the municipality to open up the Route 202. they finally gave us permission. Mr. Dennis Bettler participated in the hearing, and we were authorized to connect. Then we heard from the zoning officer to tell us that we're in violation of section B of the ordinance that I quote. And it's our position that section B of the ordinance refers to residential. It's resident, exterior residential mechanical. And we're not, we're an institutional use, we're a church. And section A applies to us. And what section A basically says is that, and I'm going to quote, when an interior building envelope location is not practical, then you can locate it at some other location, provided you screen it. And we're willing to intensively screen this 3-foot high hot box. And so I think the zoning officer was acting in good faith, but I think it's a little confusing, the ordinance.
So, sir, when you say you're willing to screen, what are you willing to do with regards to screening?
Well, whatever the zoning officer requires us to do, we will fully screen it with shrubbery. So you won't be able to see it from the road.
Thank you.
But you're in a residential zone, aren't you, Vince? Isn't that the problem? Because the way the ordinance is written, it says all properties in the residential zone as opposed to residential uses.
Jack, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that completely.
Aren't you in the residential zone? Isn't that the issue here?
Yes, we are in the residential zone, but I think this particular ordinance excludes the fact that we're in a residential zone because it specifically says that exterior residential mechanical equipment, which indicates that it's for some residents. We're not a residence. We're an institutional use, and that section really doesn't apply to us.
I agree with you, but what you're referring to is just the title. I think the problem is the body of the ordinance says any property in a residential zone. So I think
So
we need to amend the ordinance.
Is us to accept his hot box with screening as. All right.
Or amend the ordinance to make it residential uses. In residential.
Can we just, otherwise,
I think
you
we
would need
just
to get a
prove it.
variance and go to the board of.
You'd have to go to the Board of Adjustment for this hot box.
Can we just approve it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say,
Yeah.
I would be happy with.
Informally, I think I'd probably be easy. Most efficient way. And that's why we brought it to you all.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want you to have to go to the board of
No.
adjustment with this, so,
And that's what Vince is asking.
yeah.
It costs a lot of money to go to the Board of Adjustment.
Does anyone have a
I'll
problem?
go, yeah, no problem.
No, I think screening is acceptable.
All right, so I move to allow the screening as proposed by the owner. Second.
Do we need a resolution or?
I think the motion's okay, but I guess subject to the approval
Of Renee,
of Renee's approval of the screening.
that's fine.
Yeah, so, yeah, we would have to, our zoning officer would approve your design for how you're gonna screen it. But we're saying as long as she's good with what you're gonna put there, then we're okay with it. So we need a resolution, we need.
I think this motion,
Yeah, I moved it.
Second.
Second.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Can I bring up a secondary, so we dealt with this hot box issue several times now, we dealt with it in front of the Claremont properties.
Right.
I guess it would be housing and zoning. Can we address, so my primary thing, anytime there's a steel metal hot box going to the front property, it needs to have not only screening, but it should be aesthetically dealt with. Can we adjust that ordinance to make sure that we don't have to deal with this anymore?
we should probably go back to the planning board, and usually what we do is refer questions like that to the planning board for the.
Yes, I know that guy.
Yeah.
So can you send that to the planning board on my behalf?
But this is a really unique problem, we had the church and the residential property.
Yeah.
But regardless, any hot boxes going to the front property, the residential commercial homes have to have certain requirements, whether it's the electric company or the water company.
Yeah, it's agreed. Thanks, Vince.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks for hanging on.
Yes.
8C, we have a zoning line change request for 471-1 Minebrook Road. And that was I think this was Renee brought this to us because it's kind of a confusing layout, the way the lots are.
It's a really weirdly shaped lot.
Yeah. So this came from the zoning officer. I keep trying to figure out where it is.
And I wasn't exactly sure what change they're looking for.
They're looking to be R2 for the entire lot. Right now, they're partly
It's
in
broken up.
R2 and R1.
Why do you think that was? I mean, why would it have originally been done that way?
He talks about a subdivision in 1985.
Okay.
I think it's 1985. I'm not sure. Now this would have to go to the planning board. So if
We
they-
just send it back.
introduction may be the way to get it to them to.
I think send it to the planning board is like, being something, the hand sketched
Yeah,
I agree.
is very hard to interpret a zone, a lot line.
Yes.
So I unfortunately think this is gonna require some bucks on their end to hire a survey.
So we can either just send it to the planning board before introduction, or we can introduce, send it to them and ask.
I think this was right. This is.
Yeah,
planning
I would
board.
do it before introduction.
Yeah.
You good with that?
yes.
All right, so council, Nick Baglio, we had I'd originally put him on the green team, and we're still working on getting the green team up, but in the meantime, we had an opening on environmental. That is a council appointment because he's an alternate, and then we have to move up alternate 2 to alternate 1, and then he becomes alternate 2. So that is up to the council to do. You do the alternates, I do the regulars, so. Somebody want to move it?
I move to appoint Nick Baglio to volunteer for the Environmental Commission as alternate number 2. And appoint Nick Baglio to the Environment. And move Dan Bresalon to alternate 1.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
And next, I'm happy to report that Ann Wanzetter wants to be back on Shade Tree. She was the chair for a very long time, and then her husband is sick, and yes, he passed. And she misses the Shade Tree, wants to get back involved, so I'm thrilled. She was great at it. So I am happy to appoint her. In correspondence, we did get a response from the letter that the chief wrote and I signed to the DOT about the new walkway going over to the karate studio. They did say in the letter that they're gonna finish it before the first snow. I see that. So they still have they still have to do the curb cuts, but at least we got the painted lines there. And thank you for the sign as you come into town. I think that really helps to slow people down.
You should request that
Yeah.
winter is coming.
Yeah.
I was thinking it's.
Yes. We did also from the resolution we did about the increase in state health benefits. We had sent a letter supporting the other the league's resolution to do something about this ridiculous increase in state health benefits. And we did get a response from Oregon, who sent it to all our legislators, who said that they are all working on it. They're all unhappy with this. So I know there was a protest by the unions, I think, over it. So we'll see where that goes. And sadly, we got an official retirement letter from our chief, Kevin Valentine.
I was gonna make the joke that, hopefully will happen before I retire. Right, that's something you can say in jest, but I hope this happens before you retire.
Yeah, so I'm very happy for you. I said, I spoke to the chief the other day, and I could hear so clearly in his voice that stress just gone. So I know.
No, you said sadly, that would come
Sadly for us, but we're happy for you that after how many years? 42.
42.
Yeah. that you have given to this town and made so many improvements, got us organized, the emergency management, I think we put other towns to shame under what you have done, you know, I mean, just over the last hurricane, it was so obvious how good we were compared to everyone else. So we will definitely miss you. And we wish you the best of luck, and you're not getting off easy. Keep saying, I don't want anything.
I'm still a voter, remember that.
Well, I just want to know when I see the coffee shop, can I still say good morning, chief?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Chief always.
Yeah.
What's the chief always?
Like, you know, senator, governor, president.
Yeah, and I'd just like to take this out to thank you for your support over the years of the police department. There's always issues and obstacles that have to be overcome, but you know, on the whole, you've been extremely supportive of the police department, so I do appreciate that. I'm sure in time, everybody else will. Thank you.
Okay, do you have any unfinished business
Not tonight.
or new business?
Never read the ones that, point manager and fire.
Yeah, and there's also,
We have executive, right?
wait, a minute, we gotta- wait, we're not there yet. We have a request, engine DOT in the county to evaluate pedestrian warning lights at various crosswalks.
Oh, yeah,
Was that yours?
residents want that.
Those are like the ones that blink when somebody steps. in.
I saw that there's one going on Claremont by Rolling Hill and Wingwood. Is that one that points?
Well, that's what we.
That's one of the points that Doug's working on. That's the county road.
Yeah. No, but they are putting one that
So this is.
does that.
Or to answer,
To evaluate to.
will they come and do that?
You know, you can do the letter, and it's slow what it took to get them out to do one cross.
Yeah,
Typically, they want us to fund it. And if
Yeah.
we're willing to fund it, they'll turn it into a project and they'll probably pursue it.
What of those cost? Yeah.
We know the ones that are going on Claremont.
The one in Claremont,
It's about 14,000.
Yeah, about maybe 14,000, and we're gonna install it.
Well, they're the public works people, but then explain what's going on.
No, nothing's going in. Right now, the cost that it costs for the equipment is under 14,000, and the borough guys can install it. Doug is looking on the money for it.
Would be so, the blinking.
It would be like linking for the crosswalk.
There's a pedestrian activated.
Right, when you step into the crosswalk.
Or
the-
not.
Five corners of the button, you would push the button and it would go like 20 feet or however many feet in both directions, yeah, flash to let people know there's somebody before.
I got a real simple question about that. Who maintains that one house for the county?
We do.
We're dumping that on us too.
We
What's that?
We have to maintain it.
All right.
It's, and it,
Well, because at least, look, at least I know if our guys are maintaining, they don't have a chance of getting fixed when it breaks in 2 months.
Replacing it is.
Right.
the best
And
part.
install
They don't last forever, you know, there's different quality. There's different levels of the quality of these devices, and the state, if the state was to do something, it would probably be a much more robust system than what we're putting on Fairmont Road. So there's, you know, smaller residential, commercial type uses, then there's secondary roads, primary roads. You know, we're kind of go in the middle of the road, when I think on Fairmont, that'll be fine and suitable, the county's happy with it, we're happy with it. If you look at 202, I think you're gonna look at something that's a little bit more expensive, but, you know, they will have to tell you what their expectations.
My thought when I saw Christine's email was, that we can ask them to evaluate them to see if they can be warranted. Because probably too soon to bring this up now, but that is one of those things you can negotiate in a redevelopment agreement. Is that, but it's good to get a jump on and get that bureaucracy churning and evaluate whether it's feasible and allowable. So at least to get that going.
Okay, yeah,
I have to.
okay, let's do that.
So on a related matter to that, we do have the Rightwise pedestrian campaign that's going to be kicking off in the borough, but it's going to focus on 5 corners, and that will be done in advance of it. Looks like the lights being installed, so we'll have some data and we'll have some awareness created around that always.
Yeah.
So that would be a good setup for when the equipment's installed.
Yeah, and we have resolution 22-186, authorizing the employment of Amanda, all right, Hankidovich. And, you know how you say it? Beautiful.
Master of complicated last names.
I think that's the most southern sound.
And Kudovich, that's the, yeah, as housing zoning inspector, so it's glad you found somebody so quickly, because we just lost, yeah, so that's great. When does she start?
I think in 2 weeks.
Okay,
So that is,
so would somebody like to move?
I move to adopt resolution 22-186.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Adelaide,
Yes.
Ms. Greenfield.
yes.
Mr. McCready,
Yes.
Mr. McQueen.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
yes,
we have closed session.
I have one brief item and it won't require any public action.
okay, so do I have a resolution?
I'll move to go to,
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
It's Glenn Miller. I've actually had my hand up for about 15 minutes. Two things, we need to amend the Pastor Kim resolution. It also needs to have fire prevention approval because the FDC is in that hot box. So there has to be an approval by the fire official with regard to that hot box, because that is the fire department connection for the sprinkler system. So that's item one. I was trying to get you guys before you voted, but
That wasn't a resolution anyway, right?
The
That's
resolution was just to screen it.
Yeah, just to screen it, yeah.
Yeah, we
But
are,
he's saying, we said it was subject to housing approval of the screening.
Just a grenade.
Right, yeah, but he's saying that now fire department.
that has the FDC in it, Jack.
yeah, well, we're just asking,
I don't know what that is.
Under connection to the efforts.
Oh, okay.
but we're just asking them to put some hedges around it.
Right, but the FDC comes out of the front of it towards the street. So you can't block that. That's how you feed the sprinkler system of the building.
So we can't put screening
Yeah,
around it.
Just,
Okay, so we can't.
what type of grenade subject to Glenn's?
Yeah,
review?
exactly.
Yeah,
We just have Renee consult with you.
No problem. And then the other thing, I really would appreciate if Mr. DeMarco corrected his testimony from earlier, because 106 Minebrook has not been approved and it's not a foregone conclusion. And there is a meeting Thursday night and we have several concerns about that building. So he testified to the public that it was passed, no one showed up, no one had an opinion. And that's really not a fair assessment when that didn't happen and it was made public record that it did. So I feel that that is something that should be corrected in the minutes.
I think that's a
Yeah,
very
we
good
did,
point, Glenn.
yeah, we did have conversation locally about that as well before people left the building. So, yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Glenn.
I think you're right, Glenn.
yeah.
So we'll be at the Thursday night meeting to have that discussion. And, you know, I really think that it was very disrespectful of him to actually treat that building like that and actually make that statement as it was fact, when it is the furthest thing from fact, because they are going for preliminary and final the same night. And the plan never came to the Fire Prevention Bureau, and the fire company was never served, and we own the building and the lot adjoining it. So there's a whole lot to be discussed Thursday night. So, you know, when we're talking transparency and the public's upset, this is a perfect example with a quasi-public agency that was treated with the same type of problem. So I just would like the minutes to reflect that what Mr. DeMarco said was untrue and that it's not a foregone conclusion that this building is passing.
Perfect.
Yeah,
And I did urge everybody to attend the planning board meeting, so.
Yes, and we,
Yes.
yeah, talked about it after, I think, so.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, Glenn.
And now I'm going to public sessions.
So I guess I'll move to executive session. Second. Anthony,
Yeah,
all in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for.
Thanks for staying.